Okay, two members of the House of Representatives are with me in the studio to further give vent to expectations from the House as they resume. Ben Roland Igbakpa is member representing a Etiop federal constituency in Delta State. Thank you so much for joining us. And TJ Yusuf represents Kababunu Ijunu federal constituency in Kogi State. Thank you so much. I hope you had a nice time during your most long recess.
The best we can.
That's the right answer.
Yeah, the best you can within the context of the Nigerian situation. Some say we still sleep with one eye closed, one eye open, but many problems require your attention.
I think it's two eyes open.
Two eyes, no, okay. That you're robbing ourselves of sleep there.
Yeah.
But all in a bid to find solutions. Now, perhaps let me start with your appraisal of the state of the nation, why you were on reset, and you're back for business now.
Of a truth, I am scared. I'm scared because every day, I see us at a high speed going towards the extreme, and we might crash this nation if we had not crashed it. 3 days ago, in the remote area of my place, 3 men were kidnapped. A pastor that has a poultry tending it. My fear is that we have compromised every of the structures of governance. The security is compromised. You look at the story coming out of Plateau. That soldiers, security men were watching them be maimed because they had no instruction to protect them. So,
for which of the areas now? Because the last killing we heard from Plateau was that the perpetrators destroyed the bridge and security men couldn't access the community.
So, the villagers had come out to say security men were present when the headsmen attacked them. Where we are now is that we have elevated sectionalism, we have elevated who is more related to me, which side of the divide do I belong to. We sacrifice merit, oneness, equity. Tomorrow, the destiny of this nation, where we see it, we talk about best practice in other nations, but we know that in those other nations, the law is a leveler. Honorable TJ Yusuf broke the traffic light. A carpenter, a cleaner somewhere break the traffic light. The same penalty.
You're equal before the law.
That becomes the rule of the... Okay, how do you justify? We have IDPs who are struggling to have a meal a day. Those who kill them, in the name of saying you want to kind of reconcile with such people, you pay them 150,000 naira monthly. They're in dormitories, they are well catered for. That's a piece of graveyard. How do you want me to feel? And that those who are indigenous of those communities who attempt to defend themselves, some are prosecuted. They are arrested for illegal possession of arms, where the invaders are now being pampered now.
Pampered, or some of them being killed, eliminated, some of them on trial.
Just recently. But we have more of them in those so-called rehabilitations. We have more of them on the government payroll. We have more of them being paid. Okay, between 2015 and 2017, all those that were arrested between 2011 and 2015 were released. All.
We can authenticate that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you this. Go and confirm. Between 2015 to 2017, go and check the record. They were free. So there's a way you give encouragement to those tendencies. If you slap me, I do slap you back. You slap me next time. It becomes normal that you can slap me anytime. But you know there is consequence for your action. So we have now breathed an unimaginable monster.
But we can tame it. When I come back to you, that's the objective of this discourse, how we can tame it. Let's get your perspective on this state of
flowing from what my colleague had just said, I'll say, which part should I really look at that is better? We're going down. Is it the economy, where $1 now exchange for about 600 naira? Is it our health facilities that our doctors are on strike and nobody seems to be doing much about it? Is it the institutions? Is it the security? There's nothing. We are sliding so fast, and when you are sliding very fast, you might be going down the gorge. And I pray that we stand as a nation in the next 1 year to still say that we're Nigerians.
Is there no light at the end of the tunnel? Because we are supposed to actually give hope. Yes, there could be problems, but are there not light at the end of the tunnel where we can lash on and begin to get things right?
Well, that's why I said the institutions. Is there any hope? Are you seeing, from your own vantage point as a journalist, are you seeing any light? Are you seeing anything that they're doing differently that will bring about that light? For me, I don't see it. It's very blink. The future is very, very blink, and there's no hope, and I don't see any hope. We'll keep doing our bit.
But we can't put our hands.
Those people in the executive arm of government that is supposed to do it, where, like you said, where the security agencies are supposed to protect people are saying that they don't get instruction, that they cannot act, and innocent people are being killed, and yet those people
I don't know the source of that information.
Go to where I come from. I am from the southern part of the country. From the standpoint
of the security agencies, they've been going after them.
Herdsmen go into our farms, eat all our farm produce, and you arrest them to the police station. The next minute they are gone.
Yeah. Do you have a particular instance?
So many of them, not just one.
Can we share one of them?
Just go to Abraka in Delta State, go and speak to them. Go to Abo in Delta State, go and speak. DPOs, they bring them, and these the people find no need.
This is more of a generalization. I wanted a specific case.
I am telling you, I'm mentioning a place to you. I've just mentioned two police stations.
Okay. Let's go into solutions. Where do you think the National Assembly can come in all this?
The truth of the matter is that we must realize the kind of democracy we practice. We have not institutionalized the culture of democracy. The man at the head of government is seen as a demigod. Until we have those structures where the parliament and the judiciary consciously exercise their right and authority and step out of this, where even on the floor of the house, if you bring an issue, those who believe in those positions you want to canvass, but because not to be seen as anti the man at the center, might not be even on their side. So we must understand that for where we are now.
So you believe the National Assembly, as constituted, has not been unable to carry out oversight and hold the executive to check and balance?
Which oversight can you carry out on security right now, on this killing? What you go there, risk your life to go there to go verify if the people are being killed or not? Where you not be protected. Even our security men are overwhelmed. If you see, the system is compromised so much that some of them do not even trust their colleagues who is giving information. So we must take a pause as a nation and say, hey, do we want to stop this? If we want to stop it, first, we must, first of all, government cascade and begin to tell media houses not to call terrorists, that should call them bandits. Why do we begin focus on calling the headsmen who are terror? They are headsmen, genuine headsmen, who do this beat and doing their normal business. But you know those who are violent. But it's not called header farmers crisis. I have a farm in my constituency. When there, cashew and palm tree, cows don't eat it. He caught 30 hectares. He brought down everything.
But there's the anti-open grazing law now. Your state has not passed, but I think has Delta passed?
No, they are at the verge of passing.
So these are part of the legislative solutions to these problems.
Yes, when we're talking about that, the assignment, as it has to do with land use and the activities of the state government, the regions, that's better. But what about the support from the center? The center seems to be in sync with what the state governments are doing. And you can see dissenting voices. Not too long ago, Mr. President signed an order that you go and reclaim grazing routes. Where? When you don't have the land. You don't even have the land. The Land Use Act does not vest the land on the president. And why you can't give what you don't have? I think you must have a title to transfer title. He doesn't have the title. He's not the owner of the land is vested with the states and the local government. And
some
here
states
seated in
may be
Abuja.
willing. Some states may
No,
be
why
willing.
not leave the
But
states?
why you sign such order?
Why would you sign such order?
Such order.
That should tell you that's a signal that the center is not in sync with what the state governments are doing. So we must, as a people, as legislators, I believe we are doing our bit. We can only speak, we can only oversight, we can never execute. And that is where the space is. And until, like he said, when these institutions are given their rightful place, where real democracy is practiced, where the executive have to respect the legislature, where we can come out with a solution, with a law, with the resolution, and the executive quivers and go and execute it. But for now, no matter what we do, they are selective in terms of...
It appears that you're washing the legislature from your explanation, washing his hands off finding solutions. Yes, you have the responsibility to pass laws,
Yes.
Pass bills into
Yes.
law. And if those laws are not implemented, there should be consequences. Don't you think so, that the National Assembly can pursue? Because by saying that you have passed the law and it's not implemented,
how many people-oriented bills have been passed and forwarded to the president for assent that have not been assented to?
Now, I mean the ones that have been assented to.
Okay, you assent to them and they are not executed. Is that still our responsibility?
See, there's a window for this. National Assembly.
I was telling you
Don't
something,
you think so?
I was telling you something that the democracy we practice now has not really fully energized the National Assembly to do what
To do what they have to do.
You come to the floor with such an opposition. Mr. President has flouted you so. He's still from party divide. He's still from ethnic divide. He's still from religious divide. So by you lose a whole lot of those who should governance position in that perspective.
Yes.
So we must, that's why I say, we'll take a pause as a nation. What do we want? Do we want to continue in this state? Or it will lead us nowhere than destruction?
Don't you think that you can instigate a drive within the National Assembly to correct this anomaly?
What about the party and ethnic divide? It's not possible.
Yeah, if the institution of the National Assembly is not living up to its responsibilities, there are options to reform. We can't fold our hands. We should take actions to effect changes to make it responsible.
That's why we are saying that as a people, first of all, we want to be sincere with ourselves. The constitution we practice now is a fraud. When you say we the people, we never sat down as a people. We need to sat down. And constitutions, the one good thing about democracy is you're giving room every year to review and what have you. I remember in 2011, 2015, we attempted to give the state assemblies first line charge. They voted against it.
Yeah,
so understand certain things that until you cascade those cultures, those values to everywhere, there's limit to what you can do. But I agree with you, we must not stop.
Absolutely.
But it's frustrating.
I understand.
Point, it becomes as if you are a rebel, you talk too much, people even believe you play to the gallery. And that's what I tell you, I don't even want to talk, I don't want to talk again. Well, I've been talking for this long. What has it brought to the table? What has it changed? And there's something about results. It has a way of encouraging you to do more. So it's like the system punish good behavior and reward bad behavior. The system itself elevate bad behavior and punish and hide those who try in their little way to do the right thing. So we must, as a people, sit down and come back. Hey, we've traveled this journey, this long, this way is taking us to. Can we take a pause? Can the law be the final arbiter if Mr. A crossed this boundary? The same punishment should be meted on. See, in employment, in appointment, are we sincerely democratic? Are we fair to ourselves? No.
Okay,
let me add something here.
Okay, quickly.
Have you bothered to ask why there's agitation for where the president of the country should come from?
Yeah.
What is the product, the factors that lead to agitation?
The driving force.
The driving force of
okay,
agitation.
we'll answer that question when we come back from this break. Please do stay with us.
How can you not transmit the election through electronic means when it is supposed to be electronic transmission?
The system has been corrupted so badly.
How can you be saying Nigeria is indivisible? It is already divided.
The government has a duty, a responsibility to ensure that those students are rescued.
What is the significance of Easter to Christians around the world?
Nigeria's biggest challenge right now is the electoral process, because the political process is fraudulent.
Thank you so much for staying with us, two members of the House of Representatives, TJ Yusuf and Roland Igbakpa, weighing in on options for the National Assembly as he comes back from his recess and goes straight deep into business of legislations, how we can, as a people, begin to deal with our problems. We have spent more time, indeed, identifying and highlighting this problem. Perhaps we also have to spend more time on putting solutions on the table. Let me start off with you. There's a constitutional amendment process on. There was this promise that it will be concluded even before the National Assembly goes on recess. We didn't see much of that, but there's an opportunity now. And some believe most of our problems could be dealt with by way of constitutional amendment.
Yes. Thank you. I agree with you that most of the thematic area that the constitutional amendment seek to cure, restructuring, devolution of power, regional autonomy, local government autonomy. If we're able to get those ones, especially where it has to do with restructuring. Restructuring is the sense that certain powers need to leave the exclusive legislative list and push down to the concurrent list. Once we're able to get that, but the delay, like the spokesman of the House said, there's no way, we don't have to rush and bring something tomorrow. We're looking at it again. Yes, Constitution, you can amend it every year, every other time, because there are issues that will come out that are not envisaged. But I think the committee, which I represent Delta State in that committee, I was at the Kano Zone. Even at the Kano Zone.
For the public hearing?
Yes, for the public hearing. And we had two requests for states. And why?
State creation.
State creation. And they came up with the fact that they are being marginalized.
And that tails back to the question you asked before we went on.
Yes.
Why there is this push for where the president at the federal level and the governor at the state level must come from?
Well, in a normal situation, it shouldn't really bother, and nobody should be bothered. But where there is no equity, where there is no justice, where there is no fairness, where there is nepotism, and a section seem to be taking all that belong to you without giving you, I think the best way, most times. And these people are not asking for secession. They are not asking that they want Nigeria to disintegrate. Okay, now that you are seated and your people can enjoy so much, I want to sit there too, so that possibly I can either do for my people or change the direction of things. So I don't think there's anything wrong in it. And when people say, why is this agitation for who should be the president? There's need for agitation, but because there's no fairness.
That's why under this regime, you have Maritime University, Naval University, Air Force University, what have you?
In the landlock.
In the landlock. You have Naval University. You have Air Force, you have Maritime University, where there's no water. That is how nepotism reduces governance to this level. What we're saying is that as a National Assembly, we must continue to do our bit. If it's not yielding the same result, we keep hitting it. But we are saying as a nation,
or perhaps change tactics.
As a nation, we must come to this realization that I have not read anywhere a country that get where we tell us we want to get to, going this route. We must come to town with reality. Why will you not be interested in who become president when you know that even to get employment, you need such to get employment? But if you understand that, hey, whoever becomes the president, there are procedure, there are rules that is being observed by all, that all I need to do is to do the right thing and I will fall in line. We won't be bothered. We won't be bothered where anybody comes from. But since it is not there yet, and we are not yet taking any step, I've not seen it, any step to say, hey, can we take a pause? Okay. How would there be agitating for states? When every state come to Abuja to beg for money. Is there any federation anywhere in the world? I tell people, I use Canada as an example. Canada is reasonably you can compare Canada to what's going on in Nigeria. Canada is large. The population-wise, they are not as big as us.
Yes,
but
yes. Just about less than half of ours.
And they have the same multi-ethnic, and they have oil.
Canada is even multiracial.
Thank you.
Our own is multi-ethnic. One race.
I now say, look at what Canada is practicing. Government at the center has no business with who get license for oil and water. Is there by the state. But government at the center tax the state to take from that oil license. And because it is natural, the standard of living in those areas will be higher, they are paid more in tax to the center. So the area without such resources pay less tax. So from what you get from this area, you leverage. But what we are doing is that every state does not even think inward again. No. Nobody is thinking what we can do, just run to Abuja. Which federation operates that way? So that is why I want more state, I want more local government, I want so that allocations will come, then we share.
But the court case, ongoing court case over who collects VAT, is a reminder that fiscal federalism is an issue we have not dealt with.
Yes.
That is it.
And sincerely, as of the law today, FRS does no power to collect that VAT. They are just seeking, in this amendment, in this constitution, that's what they just wrote to seek to have such power. So we'll be operating in default to the constitution for that long. That is the kind of thing that I am happy that those things are coming up. We must rejig, we must check those areas, those lacunas, and bring it up so that we will find our level. But everybody must commit to this fact that there's never been any, there can never be any meaningful growth without law, without being observed rules. And until there's equity in the application of those rules, until there's equity in the application of those rules, we are deceiving ourselves. Because when I understand that you have done so because you are in power,
I want to be
naturally when I get the opportunity, I want to do so to balance my people. The president told us in the presidency, I didn't say I won't call the president, in 2016 when DSS employed and about 60% were from Kano and Katsina State, he told us it's a balancing. Did you hear that? He said it was a balancing.
There was a shortfall of employees from that part of the country. Now, when you have fiscal federalism, when the VAT court case originated from the Niger Delta and constitutional amendment, the Niger Delta, you're from, they're always pushing for fiscal federalism. Is it a possibility that the National Assembly, I don't know whether you saw that letter from the Federal Land Revenue.
Yes,
what do you make of it? And what will it bring into this scenario?
Well, that is medicine after death. It's an afterthought because they quite understood that they've been operating outside the Constitution. It's been illegal. It's been fraudulent all the while. That is why they are trying to just push it in from the back. But again, I think they rejected the letter, that they didn't write such letter. I read it somewhere.
Okay, they denied that.
They denied the letter. That they
maybe
write.
the one circulating is a fake
one thing I
one.
want to tell Nigerians, the fact that most times they seem to look at the legislature as if we are not doing anything. We are running a constitutional democracy, and there's nothing we can do outside the Constitution. Whatever we do will be guided by the Constitution, which is the grand norm. So most times, once we are done with what the Constitution says, it is left for the executive to. It's a relay, and we cannot go beyond.
That's why you have the
mandate.
three different arms.
Yes, that's why we can't go beyond our mandate to start acting Mr. President or acting the ministers. But again, the problem in Nigeria is that of nepotism, deprivation, injustice, and unfair treatment of Nigerians, as if they are second class and they are first class citizens. And agitation will continue to come. Because where you are not properly treated, you must complain until you get what you want. So we'll continue to push.
And the allegations of marginalization even predates Nigeria. Remember the Wellens Commission?
It's everywhere.
It's
everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
What we are saying
it's just
the
level.
Thank you. Then you should not now just arrogantly display it as if others don't exist. There's no. If we create 100 states today, there'll still be cry for marginalization.
Yes.
If we create 200 states, what we are saying is, can we have some standard? Can we have some standard? Can we know that if you flag this,
same thing.
I just use the traffic this thing. You flag, let it be that you flagged, but in Nigeria it's about, do you know me? Do you know who I am? You broke the ID card. But the law says you broke the traffic light. I'm sorry, I don't want to go into it because when I drive on this street of Abuja, I feel like vomiting. What we do. So the problem we have is that from up down, there's lawlessness. there's nobody that observes the rule. In fact, we have so much now drop it on the road that people do not see that there are rules. Sir, I was passing by somewhere about 2 days ago, and I saw few Okada men and the car owner were dragging, and policemen came. They ignored them. I said they never existed. Nobody even took notice of the police. It used to be that when a policeman come to such situation, everybody calm. Everybody, peace is restored. Oh, what happened? You explain yourself, and he gave instruction. He's obeyed. But we are gradually losing those things.
The security men are also victims. Yes. The first line victims. Now, the debt situation, there's a new letter from the president awaiting the attention of lawmakers, over $4 billion new foreign loan. It's listed, just this morning I was reading the projects attached to those loans. So about $4 billion is to go to the Kanu-Maradi rail line. Yes, to indeed part of the government said trans-Sahara trade route. The others to be spread across some parts of the country.
You know, I ordinarily, no country that does not borrow. But my quarrel is what you do with what you're borrowing. I remember in this ninth assembly, I raised the issue of the Chinese loan. Because we are going down, and some persons are feeding far from it. And all we wanted was a proper scrutiny of those loans. Verify the projects. Look, let's match the project vis-a-vis the money expended on it and the worth of the project. Get experts.
Was it by way of motion? Or?
Motion, and it was the resolution was taken. The investigation was done, but somehow it was scuttled. And
so the investigation wasn't concluded?
It was inconclusive up till now, and Nigerians are still asking.
What were your prayers?
My prayers that let's verify the content of the agreement. I remember I even said that I'm sure some of them don't understand. Maybe they were written in the Mandarin language. I know it's English, but I don't imagine a Nigerian accepting. But in the course of it, we discovered that our sovereignty was ceded out, which is one of them. Then let's look at the project. What is the cost of the project? Let's get experts to look at the project and look the exact what it should be as at that time. Then look at the people, what we are benefiting from, because I can't borrow money from you. The money is in China. It's not even coming to Nigeria. Yeah. The Chinese people come to drivers. Yes. They bring them from China. Yes. They do the project. You get certificate from Nigeria. You are paid in China. So the money does not come to Nigeria at all. So we don't even see the money. And we believe, it is my belief that there are some under the table arrangement, which by the time we know the cost of the project, what it should be, we will know, yes, this project is supposed to be 10, but you are doing it for 20,000. We cannot, but till date. Then now they are asking for more and more. As at yesterday, I think we are about 35 trillion.
Yes.
With 21 local, about 14.
Excluding this
excluding this one that is coming. So, it's a sad narrative, and I must tell you that I'm not happy about it. We are minority in the House. Maybe we'll have our say, but the majority will always have their way.
Your perspective on the loan situation and the debt situation.
I have been shouting about the loan situation for long. I'm an economist. Like you said, nobody is against borrowing. What are you borrowing for? In the last 6 years, we have borrowed more than we borrowed in 30 years. In the last 6 years. And people will come to tell you that, yes, we are borrowing because we have no money, because money was made before and wasted.
In the last 30 years.
And I say it's a lie.
What the military calls pandemania.
And I say it's a lie. In the last 16 years that was being referred to, crude oil rose to 100 plus between 2014, August to 2015. But they make you believe that all through the 16 years, crude oil price was at that rate. Obasanjo was operating $18, $19 per barrel at a point. That this government had never operated that
low. And he used that to save up in excess crude and use it to pay
something.
Off our debt.
Yes, I think that was something. The least government had operated was around 2029. They operate at 60, 70. But at every point in time, they will tell you, because money
No, there was a time under PDP, it rose up to 70, 80 and all that.
I say under this government.
Okay.
I say PDP rose all to 100 plus 112, 13 between 2014 and 2015. But the narrative is that all through that was the price. I say, correct that narrative. 2, what are you borrowing for? This latest one now. Are you saying the Kano Maradi rail line is that of commercial economic value to Nigeria for this borrowing? Are you saying it's more important than fixing the road that leads Kaba to Ekiti, that leads Kaba to Ilorin, and make it easy for people to transport goods on that road? Kaba to Ilorin as a child that was growing up was 2.5 hours. Now it's 7 hours drive.
You recall what the federal government said about that rail line? 2 issues they raised to make Nigeria attractive for Benin Republic to use our ports to ferry their goods, and of course it's part of the Trans-Sahara trade route. That there are some economic.
You didn't mention Benin Republic.
No, from our ports in Lagos up to Niger Republic, they make use of our ports. That if there's a rail connection from Lagos
to the Minister of Transportation.
Yes, that was the explanation. So I just wanted to reflect.
I disagree.
And I'm asking that today, our ports, operating in a manner that will attract such good, Benin port is far, far, far more economically more viable than Nigeria. Nigerians import from Benin and bring it in there. 2, so because you now have a rail, does that change the policy or the operation of the port that will make it attractive? 2, between Benin, Togo and what have you, and Nigeria and Niger, which of these routes is more viable? What have you invested in that route? 3, our brothers in the east, on the market and what have you, the quantum of goods they import and what have you. Have you decided to make Asaba or the Chinese thing a port of international repute, so that if you invest in it, so that they won't, the cost of transporting those things on the road, or you build a rail? See, if we have done these things and you are now bringing this, who will understand?
It's expansion.
We are building roads in the Niger Republic. Are you aware?
No, I don't think so.
We are building roads.
Perhaps we are building up to the border point.
Hello, sir.
Up to the border point.
See, what we are saying is that some of these things will not raise any dust if you have done the needful internally.
Yeah, I get your point.
But the moment you, just those concentration, you are borrowing to do those things. We're asking for where we are now, of what economic value, what does it bring to our economy? What quantum of good that the Niger Republic imports Onitsha market will do what Onitsha market will import in a year. Niger Republic will not import in 10 years.
10 years.
So let's look at these things. Let's put them in perspective. That is why we're worried.
Okay.
And the funny thing about it is that nobody bother what you say. It's just being taught. We're just the Chinese thing he mentioned, sir. What is happening to Malawi? What have we? It's not enough warning to us. Is that not enough for us to Tanzania? For us to see that the broadcasting corporation has been taken over by China? Is that not enough to slow us down and say, can we look at this thing?
The government says because we had a recession, the best way is to spend ourselves out of recession and putting critical infrastructure in places.
Where are the infrastructures? Because the only one they seem to be talking about is the rail. Yes. The rail is not a creation of this administration. It's not a creation. It's a creation of the previous administration. And they are just building on what the PDP government. So what have they done? Where are the infrastructures? I'm from Delta State. From Port Harcourt, if you're coming to Delta. From Warri, now
the East-West Road.
East-West Road. Well. You can't even go. There are over 30 tank farms in my constituency, in my local government.
But someone from the Niger Delta is a minister of Niger Delta.
They bring
the East-West
Road. Have you actually given him the necessary funding to do the job? Yes, they must have done something wrong in the past, but give him the funding so that we know that you are giving this kind of borrowing you are even doing. You are not considered that commercial route as part of it. You can't leave Warri to Benin. If you have a flight for 2 o'clock, you need to leave your house by 6 o'clock.
The last borrowing we did, NT had about $500 million.
Was that approved? I don't think it was.
It was?
It
It
was.
was.
We'll verify that. now,
And they said they will turn
I'm telling you,
NTA. They will turn NTA to CNN.
And they asked that, how can you give
now you're having your
Don't
say.
forget that. Don't forget that. NTA is already with start time in China.
Yes.
STA is already.
But that's a partnership for the direct-to-home service. Now, you're having your say, as it were. It's probable that the National Assembly will have their way. Because since this National Assembly, every loan request has been approved.
Yes. And that's what I say. That's why people like us are seen as a rebel. We say anywhere in the world, when the parliament lose the privilege of being internally, generating struggles or how leadership emerges, that parliament has lost his right of voice.
There's external influence over leadership of the National Assembly.
See, the moment this party can APC, PDP was trying it, and people rebel against the party. I won't lie, PDP was trying it, and to rebel against the Tamboa election, I remember how it happened. But the moment the party comes and they give instruction, I'm sorry, it's like everybody wants to be in line with the party, even when they know that some of these things are not right. But the quality of the men is not an issue.
Okay.
Because these are seasoned parliamentarians who emerge. But the fact that these are the roots to which it emerged, it emasculate and reduce their ability to be fair, to take a position. Because you know the blocks that are standing. Once one of them is shaking, you are falling, because it's only in parliament, you go in with a siren, you can come back without an escort.
Yes.
The
Just like that. It's first among equals. Now, your last take on the parliament will definitely have their way, and you're having your say over the issue of new loans.
Well, yeah, definitely. By the grace of God, we'll continue to push. We'll not give up. It's dark. It's dark, really. It's not encouraging, but we'll continue to do our bit. The truth is, we have a leadership in the House of Reps, in the person of Right Reverend Femi Gbadagba-Amila, who is a grounded person. He understands a lot, but you can't rule out the possibility of external influence.
Thank you so much. Honorable Roland Igbakpa of Delta Cedars Tube Federal Constituency, and TJ Yusuf, Kababuni Juno Federal Constituency in Kogi State, for weighing in. On Monday, we'll get an APC legislator to also weigh in on the business of legislation as solution to, of course, Nigeria's myriads of problems. Stay with us then. My name is Amici Anapwe.
AIT, sharing